welcome inside the Treehouse. Congratulations, you have made it. It is Friday. Once again, don't hold back, you two. If you ever want to jump in and make that a sing-along, I'm all for it.
That's a you thing.
It is time to leave your worries outside and join me, Dan O'Malley, Trey Trenholm, and Raj Sharma right here inside this Treehouse. I am fresh off of something that is completely relatable, I think, to everyone, especially during the COVID years, and that is I am fresh off a Zoom meeting that could have been an email, so I'm really ready for some stupid. Trey, how is your throat doing?
It is okay. I'm just drank a lot of tea and hopefully it'll hold up for this. and I won't end up sounding like a pubescent teen with my voice cracking.
I realized something yesterday, Trey. You're our sick kid.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that, to be mean or anything like that. I just like you just kind of agreed with it. I think every group of friends or every treehouse, every fort, everyone's kind of got the sick kid, and unfortunately, it's you, Trey.
I'm always good for a couple of sinus infections a year, and then a smattering of different things throughout. So I'll take that one. I certainly can't argue with it.
Yeah, I know the people that have the like when the weather shifts, like they get a sinus infection or allergies or whatever. Like I'm lucky in that sense. Like I don't have allergies. Like I'm allergic to cats, but only some cats, not all cats. And I don't get. I don't think I've had a sinus infection ever. I don't think I've ever had one. I don't think I've ever had an ear infection. I'm none of that.
You
stuff.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I know.
You don't know misery.
No, I've had the flu a couple of times.
I can actually say, to the best of my recollection, which I know is not 100%, but I am almost certain I've never had the flu. I've had plenty of sinus infections and ear infections to make up for it. However,
gotcha. Yeah, I've had the flu many times, and it was great. I was like, if you want to find a way to lose 8 to 10 pounds pretty quick. I did that. I had a bacteria thing, a parasite in India. I got that. That was a thing.
That right there is a weight loss secret only the stars know about. Indian parasite weight loss.
That is one of those things where if you could sell it, you'd be a millionaire in Los Angeles. So in Mumbai. There's a bar restaurant that I go to every single night that I'm there. And they know that I'm going to be coming in. It's called Spirit. It's hilarious. I'll try to find pictures of the menu and send it to you. Like, one of their dishes is called Chicken Hitler, which is hilarious to me. Yeah, it says Chicken Hitler, and I'm like, I think somebody said the name of a dish, and that's what they heard. So I don't know what the actual dish is called, but on their menu it just says. But then they spell because it's like they're listening to it. So for a Coke, because of the accent, whatever, on their menu is COCK. So
maybe that's why Trey's throat is so sore.
Wow,
he's been drinking that. He's been slurping that down, and that may lead to some inflammation and soreness.
And but I go in every single time in India. The thing is, like, if you don't know if it's filtered water or not, no water, no ice. And so this is just kind of a local spot. It's really cool. They were like, when I go in, I'll like, how Mr. Sharma, how long are you going to be here? And I'm like, I'm going to be here for the next few weeks, and they'll reserve a table every night for me. And I come in with my friends and all that stuff. But I'm having a drink, and the regular waiter that I have is gone. I didn't realize this until afterwards. I get my drink. I'm on the phone with my cousin's flying in from New Delhi to meet me. He's at the airport. I'm giving him directions, and I take a sip of my drink, and I feel the ice hit my lips. And I was like, oh, no. I don't ever get ice in my drink. And I look up, different waiter. I'm like, oh my God. Let's not do that.
And now you know what a parasite tastes like.
Yeah, and I woke up about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, "Oh, I have to Sphinx."
And the
Uh,
parasite was staring back at you, watching you sleep.
yeah, but I lost, and I was at the hotel that I was staying at had a gym with a trainer, like as a lot of gyms in India do. It had a full time trainer in there, and I'm like, you know what? It had a zero trans fat restaurant, the only one in Mumbai. I was like, I'm gonna go eat really healthy, and I'm gonna go to the gym every day, get fit, lose weight. I went to that gym every single day for 7 days. Ate in the restaurant, ate 100% clean, 100% fresh food, and I lost like about 4 pounds. It was good. I had that parasite for 3 days, and I lost 13 pounds.
Just goes to show diet and exercise cannot compete with a good old fashioned parasite.
No, if it doesn't kill you, you're gonna look great.
But even if it
no,
does kill you, you'll look great for a
great.
little bit. And then
You're gonna,
eventually you won't.
do you want to fit in that funeral suit? Parasite. Parasite for men. But I'm sorry you have the sinus infection there, buddy. I'm sorry that's a thing that you have to deal with a couple of times a year. That is brutal. I'm assuming, and it causes. And I'm assuming from the sinus drip is why your throat is bad.
Yes. Yeah. It's
Okay.
I'm allergic to everything that is in Texas. I am highly allergic to. Cedar would be the number one,
Oh, okay.
pollen, all that. So anytime when there's these drastic weather changes, it always throws me for a loop.
Yeah, I
Hopefully
know.
I
I've
caught this one early enough that it won't lay me out for a long time.
Wow. What is it? Just an antibiotic? Is that is that what you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, um, plenty of tea. I guess I don't know how. I don't know if that's
Tea is to
DK.
help soothe his throat
Mhm.
from all the Indian coke. And then the antibiotic to take out the actual infection itself. But the good news is, Trey, you are now in the treehouse, and I'm going to make you feel better. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe not physically better, but I'll at least help with your emotional state while being sick, because I'm going to tell you today about broken and misused sex dolls. Also,
Okay.
I'm going to tell you the story behind crack to sack.
Okay.
Shocker, it happened in Florida. But
That just sounds like a grocery store.
you know what comes before all those things, though, right?
Of course. Birthdays.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Today is Friday, November 17th, 2023. Birthdays today. Trey, it'll make you feel better to know that Isaac Hansen, the oldest Hansen brother, is 43 today.
That does.
Bop.
Exactly.
uh, I remember years ago they were performing in Deep Ellum at Trees, and there were people. They were anticipating people camped out overnight for the Hanson tickets, and I was curious. I had no time. I had nothing to do. I had plenty of time, so I was like, "Let me drive by and see these wild Hanson fans camping out to see their heroes." And I drove by Trees, and there were 3 people in sleeping bags, and I was like, "Yeah,
Well,
it's
when
just
was this?
uh, 10 years ago, 12 years ago."
Okay, yeah. See, when was Hanson at its peak? Would that have been like around 2000, 2001, somewhere in there? Late 90s?
Are they considered a one-hit wonder? Right, because the Umbop thing was
Yeah.
the one that's the one that
Yeah.
I know they had another song after that, but I don't remember any of
Everyone, even like everyone, when you get a mega hit like that, you always have another semi hit that would be a
Yeah,
huge hit for anybody else, but it's a drop off for someone that's hit that threshold.
yeah.
So yeah, Mbop was their big one. They had another one that came afterwards that was probably on the same album, and now it's sad Thanksgiving for them, like it is for the rest of us.
Aren't they from Oklahoma? Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I
And
thought.
and they
Okay.
actually, since they enjoyed a bit of a resurgence, and uh it seems like all old bands do, but I just looked it up. 97 is when Mbop came out.
1997.
That is 26 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So when you saw them 10 years ago, Raj, I bet they were really excited to have 3 campers outside trees for their show.
I just remember hearing it on the radio. They're like, there are going to be people camped out. Tickets are going to be hard to get.
Well, hang
And I
on a
was
second. We're talking about Deep Ellum outside of trees and 3 people in sleeping bags. Are we sure they were there for the concert or just not there?
Well, I don't. It could have been all 3 members of Hanson.
Yeah. Also, are you sure they were sleeping bags and not body bags?
That I didn't slow down enough to check and see if it was a line for the Hanson concert or a crime scene.
That's the other thing you got to look out for when you're rolling around Deep Ellum is you have to know the difference between a velvet rope and crime scene tape.
And for some bars, it's the same.
It's the velvet crime scene tape.
That's for boutiques in Highland Park.
Other birthdays today. Rachel McAdams, actress. She is 45 today. She played Dr. Christine Palmer in the Doctor Strange movies. She was Allie in The Notebook. Couldn't decide what she wanted to eat. She was also Claire in The Wedding Crashers and Regina in Mean Girls. Phenomenal actress, Rachel McAdams. She is 45 today. And where did it go? I was looking. Oh, there we go. Daisy Fuentes, MTV's first Latin VJ. She's 57 today. As we've mentioned before, she is married to the great Richard Marx of Right Here Waiting for You fame.
Mm-hmm.
And RuPaul is 63 today, still looking fabulous. Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio turns 65 today. I remember her best as Maid Marian in Kevin Costner's Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did thoroughly enjoy that movie for Kevin Costner's 3-second long British accent attempt.
It was a.
I don't know why anybody
was it a valiant attempt? It's like it's almost like they left it in there as a joke. Why would you? He doesn't attempt the English accent at any point during the film, except like you were saying, Raj, for that brief moment. Mm-hmm. And you know that because when that happened in the sequence of the film, wasn't it somewhere like in the middle or like the middle third or something?
Mm-hmm.
That had to have been the first day of shooting, right?
100%.
And then the director's like, "Stop it! You're just no."
I'm sure he went through a full scene, and the director was just like, "What? Can he not hear? Cut? Can he not hear me? Am I saying it out loud? Am I?" And then they were
I'd say he might have been hard of hearing because his ears might have still been waterlogged from Waterworld, but I think Waterworld came after Robin Hood.
Yes, it did. But I'm just
no
like,
excuse there.
When you see something like, and this as an actor, this is why I say this. When you see Kevin Costner in Robin Hood, my thought was, who didn't get it? who was busy? Like, who did you call every British actor? Everyone. Everybody was busy, and they're like, "Well, we got Costner." And like, hold on, let me make a few more phone calls. And then somebody just kept going, "But we got Costner."
Here's what I like to think happened, because I don't even remember who directed the film, but I do know one of my favorite parts of Kevin Costner's Robin Hood was the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Yes. Yeah, the Alan Rickman, right?
Yep. Alan Rickman, who was a phenomenal talent, phenomenal actor. If I remember correctly, his feature film debut was the villain in Die Hard.
Oh, yes, that is correct. Mm-hmm. Yes, he was Hans Gruber.
Yeah, he played Hans Gruber in Die Hard. Phenomenal in that. He was phenomenal villain opposite of Kevin Costner in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Mm-hmm. I like to think on that first day on set, Costner tried the English accent, and Alan Rickman came over and just said, "Stop it."
No. Just walked away.
And then he did. And it, you know what? As much as you give him a hard time for it, it was a fun movie. It's probably one of the better Robin Hood films ever.
Well, was it? Okay.
If we're being honest, the Robin Hood bar / threshold is fairly low, but it was a fun movie. Granted, maybe it helped that it came out when I was in 6th grade and I was a lot more impressionable.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, hey, Robin Hood is from Cleveland, apparently. So that's nice to know. I'm Robin of Locksley from Columbus, Ohio. That's where I'm from.
Locksley, Ohio.
Yeah, that was an interesting casting. So that's when you have a lot of popularity amongst the fans. That's when and they're like, we will cast him in Robin Hood. It'll sell tickets. That's when
Yes, and
that
it did.
that's yeah. And then we were stuck with that Brian Adams song for forever, and it was at every
You say
wedding.
stuck, but that was the song that was the only song I halfway learned while being forced to learn piano.
Yeah, and it was every school dance, and it was every wedding for years, and every prom, and everything, and it was just it's what Brian Adams lives on an island. He has his own island in Canada, and that's what that song did for him. It affords him an island.
And on that island, he never has to hear Kevin Costner attempt an English accent.
No, he does not.
Other birthdays today, legendary filmmaker Martin Scorsese. He turns 81 today, still making not only movies, but it's like the older he gets, the longer the movie he feels like he needs to make. And I don't know why.
Yes. And he feels the need to not have casting sessions. He's like, I'm friends with all of these actors, and it will always be DiCaprio and De Niro, and there you go. That's going to be.
I think you're right. I think even if Martin Scorsese decided to do some sort of like a teen drama type film, he would still cast
yes
Robert De Niro as the mean girl.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what the movie's like. We're going to do this called The Irishman. Who's going to be in it? DiCaprio and De Niro. Awesome, man. We're going to do this one about Native Americans. Who's in this? De Niro and DiCaprio. It's like, do they have a picture of you with a goat? Like, why like, what is going on? You're always having to cast these people, like, and they're not short on money or
and then
fame.
he brings out
If there
Pesci.
was.
And Pesci actually has the picture with the goat.
Yes, yeah. I feel like Scorsese could do a biopic called Martin and the Goat would still be played by Robert De Niro.
You're listening to The Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
This segment of the Treehouse is brought to you by Cook DFW Roofing and Restoration. Their phone number, 833-COOK-DFW. Give them a call for your free roof inspection. That's 833-COOK-DFW. The website, cookdfw.com. Also, I forgot to mention in the first segment, Treehouse is also brought to you by the Dallas Comedy Club, where you can see Graham K this weekend at the Dallas Comedy Club. That's Graham K. Got 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday, only at the Dallas Comedy Club. Your new home for funny in North Texas. Dallas-comedyclub.com is the website for ticket info to see Graham K. and all the comedy events they have 5 nights a week at the Dallas Comedy Club. Dallas-comedyclub.com. Trey, you brought up with Lorne Michaels' birthday being 79 today. What happens to Saturday Night Live when the unthinkable happens to Mr. Michaels?
Yeah, I mean, it's been one of the big questions in Hollywood for, a decade of who will take over Saturday Night Live when he either retires or dies. And everyone's been hoping that he would like name a successor and there would be some transition. But now people are thinking like, he's just going to die. He's going to do it until he dies. And
I think he will, and I think the show ends after he does. I don't know who would be willing and able to do. It's a pretty daunting task to do that show.
they talked about one of the names thrown around is Tina Fey.
Oh,
she
yeah,
was a great writer.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone was going to be able to do it, I would say her, Seth Meyers, someone like that that's been a writer, head writer. Okay, maybe. but it's still that that has got to be an absolute. I mean, I think like doing a live TV show like that has got to be just gut wrenching anxiety.
Yeah, I mean, for a show that wasn't even supposed to make it past the first season. I mean, like they didn't expect it to. I think the first couple of episodes, like nobody watched. That's why they're the ready for primetime players or whatever that the name of the
not ready for primetime players.
Not ready for primetime is what it is. Yeah.
If you want to bring something on after Saturday Night Live ends, just bring back American Gladiators. I want Turbo and Laser and other,
but
single named muscular individuals on steroids and cocaine running into walls, running from tennis balls and smashing on, substitute teachers for fun.
But I also want you to mix it with SNL. So I want it to be like American Gladiators with this week's host Jim Carrey, and he's got to be in the games as well. So
I'm a big fan of our mashups here because I really feel like we've come up with some quality things. I mean, last week we talked about Jason Voorhees going up against King Kong, Gilligan, and Gunsmoke, and we missed a huge opportunity there, and that was I want to see Gilligan versus King Kong.
I want to see Jason versus Gilligan.
I think Gilligan might actually beat Jason just because Jason would get so frustrated. Kind of like the skipper did.
Machetes can't kill Jason, but you know what does? Shenanigans.
Speaking of shenanigans, sex dolls. You really think that just one news story would suffice? But no, I like to double up on the stories, not the dolls.
Good clarification.
Thank you. So in England, it turns out a reported dead body was not a dead body. It was, in fact, according to authorities, a very dirty, broken, and overused sex doll. I'm going to repeat that. Very dirty,
I'm trying to think.
broken, and overused.
How does one determine overuse?
I think if it's overflowing.
And what on what scale do they say dirty? Like, there are all sorts of questions on that, and how do you know if it's broken? I mean,
because you have to try it, I would imagine.
I mean, was there a hole in the foot?
That's not how you know it's broken. That's just how you know it's overused.
Okay. So it was a gangbang doll.
I just imagine the detective coming up on the scene. Is like, what do we have? Homicide. Oh no, we don't. What do you think it is? What do you think it is, detective? That right there is an overused sex doll. He would know.
Reports of a dead body dumped in the English woods were blown out of proportion because it turned out to be a very dirty, broken, and overused sex doll. That is according to the police. Police closed off a road for 31 hours as part of efforts to seal the kinky crime scene in Warwickshire. After someone taking a walk called authorities to say they had seen limbs sticking out from undergrowth. The police thought they had a murder investigation on their hands, so they called in the forensics team. So England CSI, upon closer inspection, determined the find was more goofy than grisly. It was with great relief, according to police, that we can announce that the pathologist was able to identify that the foot and hand beneath the bush did in fact belong to a discarded and realistic life-size doll. When they finally dragged the corpse out, they realized the blunder and realized the officers had a big laugh about it. According to one observer, it was a very dirty, broken, and overused sex doll.
Yeah, I'm glad he said it with great relief and not great release. So... And I also am grateful for this story because I would hate for the police to assume it was a dirty, overused, and broken sex doll, and turns out it is a murder victim. Like you
Oh,
don't
that would
want
be bad.
you don't want that
Someone's going to be
assessment.
reported to internal affairs on that one. And not to be left out, a Nebraska funeral worker was fired after using a sex doll of a dead man he was tasked to collect.
Say this again?
Yeah.
I know it is kind of confusing. A Nebraska funeral worker was busted after he had sex with a life-size doll that belonged to a dead man whose body he was supposed to be picking up and taking to the morgue.
So the dead guy had the body. No, sorry. The dead guy had the doll.
Yes.
He was supposed to pick up the dead guy and went in, saw the doll, and was like, well, he's not going anywhere. So he's not watching. And decided to take it upon himself to use it, and then took the body to the morgue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you get
Ryan
sloppy
Smith is
seconds-
his name.
Sloppy seconds from a dead guy.
Yeah.
That's a doll.
Yeah.
Man. Where was this out of? Nebraska?
This is out of Nebraska. And you're right, Trey. There are more fun ways to become Eskimo bros with someone. And this ain't it.
No. And who told on him?
Ryan Smith was arrested Friday on charges of burglary, criminal trespassing, and tampering with physical evidence, and promptly fired from his Omaha mortuary gig. He became smitten with the doll after spotting it inside the apartment where he and a colleague were sent to collect the body of a man who died of natural causes. He and the coworker were working on behalf of a company that doesn't need to be named in this. It's not their fault. That removes, transports, embalms, and cremates bodies. Later that day, Smith allegedly called the property manager and claimed that the sheriff's office was sending him back to the unit to collect the doll so it could be swabbed for a biopsy, a bizarre request that was immediately shot down. He then decided to help himself and somehow weaseled his way back into the dead man's apartment. The manager stumbled upon the disturbing scene while investigating noises coming from inside the apartment.
Wow.
Smith then allegedly walked out with his clothing disheveled and warned the manager he would return with a warrant for the doll.
So he was so smitten with a doll, he broke in to the park. Wow.
I mean, this sounds like it should be out of Florida, but it's not.
Well, look, Florida shouldn't have all the fun.
They seem to, but they seem to. But for this guy, yeah, I was wondering how it happened. So I thought he went to go get the guy, and then was like, he's not going anywhere. I'm not busy. They're not expecting me back there. So let me have a romp with the doll, which would probably have been. He would have probably, I feel like a Scooby-Doo villain. He probably would have gotten away with it.
You're right. Now, and this is why it seems important then for the people that go to these homes to collect the bodies to work with a partner, because the partner was there. Had he just been by himself, I think that's exactly what would have happened.
Yeah, and he would have been able to satisfy himself and the needs of the family. So, I mean, to get the dead guy to the morgue.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So I don't know what kind of porn you've been watching.
I'm sure there's a category for it.
There is. There is. There's porn for everything.
Yeah, I just well, I mean, I don't know how do you bounce? That's a bad term. How do you bounce back? How do you bounce back off a rubber doll? I don't. I don't.
Make sure it's got plenty of air in it.
Yeah, what's the maintenance on it? Like, I don't know.
I mean, because you're not going to bounce off of a flat ball.
And yet another category is.
I'm going to do us all a favor here. Yeah.
You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com. You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
This segment of the Treehouse is brought to you by our dear friends at Brooks Plumbing. Brooks Plumbing, 214-368-3838 for any and all of your plumbing needs. Call Brooks Plumbing, 214-368-3838. The website, brooksplumbingtexas.com. The other thing I teased earlier during the show, besides the broken and misused sex dolls, was I promised I was going to give you the full story behind Crack to Sack.
Sounds like a really terrible grocery store idea.
That would be a really terrible grocery store idea, but it might make sense.
Or a horrible name for a toilet paper.
Mhm.
But I'm on the lines of like a sack and save. Crack and sack is where they hire crackheads to bag your groceries.
Not very well, of course.
No.
I would think Crack to Sack would make sense for a like a nut store.
Oh yeah, there you go. And or a store for broken sex dolls.
It is sex related,
Oh, okay.
but it's not in the sexy way.
Okay.
It'll sound sexy at first, but then I'm going to tell you more about it, and then you're going to get a really horrific visual.
Oh, okay.
This, by the way, did happen in Florida.
Okay. You never lets it down.
A totally naked Florida couple was busted having sex on a causeway in front of a group of people, including children. And the woman being led away in cuffs by police, she couldn't help but say it was always a dream of hers. Sarah Fazekas, 55, and Robert Clark, who is 60, were fully nude on top of one another in Dunedin, Florida, with Clark, who's a registered sex offender, fully exposed. That is according to a complaint obtained by the Smoking Gun. One witness described the horny fornicators' encounter as crack to sack, going to town. Police responded to the causeway in the Gulf Coast city and arrested the exhibitionists after they were caught in flagrante delicato, or delicto, I should say. As she was led away, she reportedly told officers that this was always a dream of mine, referring to having sex by the spectacular views of St. Joseph Sound.
All right.
I mean,
When
dream the impossible dream.
Clark, the 60-year-old registered sex offender, meanwhile, he exhibited no remorse that he subjected children to the sight of his stuff. So much so, he even declared that, quote, children should be at home and not at the causeway. That's akin to saying, if you don't want to see my junk, then you shouldn't leave your house.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that isn't that a disclaimer that should just come with Florida?
Florida, you're going to see some junk.
Yeah, that's and solid responsible parenting on Clark's part.
It actually is pretty solid. It's not his fault. Blame the kids' parents for them being there to witness his debauchery.
Cracked sack. I've never heard it called that, but okay. And
that's the visual now that you will be left with of Florida is the kids and the complainants saying, yeah, they were going at it. Cracked a sack. So that tells you what angle that particular witness had to the incident.
Yeah, and this is where I make, and it's not even an assumption. This is where I guarantee that these were Caucasian folk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. This is white people in Florida. Like it's just such a lethal combination.
It's times like this. You're right, Raj. You have to wonder what won't honkies do.
That's because it's always been her dream. Okay, like mine is Madison Square Garden. Like, but we all have our different ones. Like, my dream is to play Madison Square Garden.
Oh, to
not
play Madison Square Garden. I thought
Yeah.
you were saying your dream was to go crack the sack at Madison Square Garden.
No. But I mean, what is I don't know. What is the penalty for this? As they were led away in cuffs, is it just he's a sex offender, so that he's violating something?
I'm
other
sure in
than
his
her.
mind, he's thinking, well, what's the worst that could happen? I'm already registered. And it's not
Yeah.
stopping him.
Gotcha. Yeah. Did they say what the couple is looking at as far as a
So
penalty phase?
he was charged with lewd and lascivious exhibition, which is a felony, and it was being held on a $50,000 bond.
Jeez.
A judge also ordered him to have no contact with children, which, again, he's already a registered sex offender, and that didn't stop him from having sex in public with someone in front of children. So I really don't know how being admonished or told what to do by a judge is going to deter him in any form or fashion.
If I was his attorney, I'd be like, hey, they were already mid crack the sack-ing, if that's what it's called, when the kids showed up. They didn't just see a bunch of kids and go, now it's time. I'm guessing. I don't know how. I'm just asking the two white people on the show. What is the?
Raj,
what would you?
we
What would you
don't
guys?
know each other.
How is Uncle Clark?
I will say this, as someone who is adopted and doesn't know anything about his biological family, when I see stories like this, I do wonder, maybe. And I hope that it's not.
That's those are your biological parents,
or family, or maybe it is Uncle Clark that I just don't realize it. Like maybe he hit it big with Oklahoma oil and decided to retire in Florida and become a renowned sex offender.
Yeah, well, when he did hit it big, that's for sure.
And you were asking about the other charges. The woman, Fazekas, she was also charged with exposing herself and was slapped with an additional narcotics charge for having the anti-anxiety drug clonazepam inside an Altoids container in her purse.
Okay. Well, at least, hey, look at it this way. At least she was wearing a purse.
I'm looking forward to seeing the next TV ad from clonazepam and to see this added as to one of their side effects.
May cause crack to sack.
Use caution around beaches in Florida.
Use caution around children. May cause crack to sack and anal leakage. Do not operate a motor vehicle.
This actually makes sense now. Trey, one of the news stories Trey sent for today was about a statue of the Virgin Mary crying, and I think we figured out why. Because at first I was thinking, oh, it's just another made-up story, but now it may actually be real. She's truly crying for all of, maybe not all of humanity, but at least for Florida. Be sure to tell a friend the Treehouse is open, and we're having fun in here. Follow all things Treehouse at Treehouse On Air, treehouseonair.com, and we're also open for business, treehouseonair@gmail.com. Next time you're in the Treehouse, bring a friend. We'd like that. See you next time in the Treehouse.
See you.
Bye.